I'm a girl on fire, I'm not a victim, a girl on fire, I'll stand my ground, girl on fire, I've made a choice, I stand proud, I'm a girl on fire.
That's why I'm still a warrior. I have to keep fighting. But it feels like it's killing me.
And I choose to defend all that I hold dear. Independent and strong, you will not keep me down. You can't break me. I'm a girl on fire. I'm not a victim. A girl on fire. I'll stand my ground. Girl on fire. I've made a choice. I stand proud.
Speak out now.
Countless hours on the range, I am responsibly armed. I am your equal.
Lynette Oxley here for Tac Shack Tactical TV and Ghost of Girls on Fire 16 Days of Action for No Violence Against Women and Children. I'm here today with Wilma van Kaam. Thank you very much for joining us. I know it's a difficult story to tell us, but thank you for sharing it with us so that we can be made aware of what is happening out there.
It's only a pleasure. You're welcome.
Tell me a little bit about yourself. Where did you grow up? Who is Wilma van Kaam?
Wilma is just a very normal, plain Jane person. We grew up in quite a few different places. My dad moved around a lot, so I was like in 7 primary schools. And it's not like close by. It's from Mildersdrift to Honeydew to Tabazimbi to Ruripur to Florida. So we've been quite all over the show. But at the end of the day, I'm settled in Krugersdorp. I've been married at the age of 19, happily married, 40 years later, still happily married. And we've got 3 lovely daughters and 3 lovely son-in-laws by now.
And lots of dogs
Hey, we love dogs, yes. Well, we love animals, that's what we are.
So the first bad thing that happened in your family was in 2006 with your husband. Can you explain to us what happened that night? He got murdered, am I correct?
Yeah, my father-in-law got murdered.
Father-in-law, sorry.
Yeah, my father-in-law got murdered. They stayed in Krugersdorp as well, on Voortrekker Road, not far from us. But what happened that Sunday evening is, I can't explain. They got through the window and my mother-in-law was stabbed quite a few times in the shoulder and my father-in-law was strangled, which made it bad because, you know, his eyes were popped out and everything looked terrible. But what also happened is the next day when we got there to start cleaning up everything, well, after the police said we were allowed to go in to clean up, they actually wrote on the wall, scraped on the walls with the knives that they stabbed mother-in-law with. So it was knives with blood and stuff that they scraped on the walls with. And you won't believe it. It was all in Portuguese and nobody knew what they wrote or just scraps or whatever. And then on my father-in-law's body, on his chest, they put a little card say rest in peace. And that tricked us all because, I mean, how can you put, after you just murdered somebody, a card on there that says rest in peace? My husband really took this very, very bad. He struggled seriously after that. His body went into systems of trauma. According to the doctor, it was sort of a trauma attacks that they do get. He's a builder, so he went into trauma in such a stage that he didn't even know who he is, what he is, or what day of the week we are in. And he walked like somebody taking a lot of drugs, and really didn't take any drugs. But yeah, that's really didn't work well with him. And then apparently after quite a few doctors, that was in June, yeah, by August, September, I said to the doctor, we can't handle this anymore. Something must be changed because then I'll work, but then I'll take a day's leave or 2 days leave and I'm going to the building site. So I'm a builder then, not a bookkeeper. So then I'm a builder and I do the building work and get everything running because, you know, the work can't stop. And then by Thursday or Friday, he comes back and then he can't believe it's Friday because it's 3 days later and he can't remember what happened in those days. So eventually the doctor said, relax. So I've tried as many things as possible to get him relaxed in Mildersdrift. And my father-in-law stopped daily there by our house to have a look at the building because he was a builder himself. So and he came and walk around and chat to my husband and this and that and all that. So that was special for him. And then all of a sudden there's nobody coming to the building site anymore. So when the house was finished, I decided as a surprise for them, it's in December we moved in, so to give him just a break for everything and whatever, I booked him and the three girls in a hotel in Warmbath for a midweek session. I said to them, now you go and relax. You don't cook, you don't do anything, you just go and sit with the three girls because they love father-daughter weekend. So I thought that's going to be great for them. And what I did then, I left them going, all gone, happy and so. And when I came back, I moved the whole house for them. And that changed it lots for him. That really meant a lot for him. He felt better. I even packed out the kids' clothes for them. It was a hot week, but it was a nice week to do for them. So we always had that. And up until the kids were going to university, we had this once a year father-daughter weekend, which was until the kids also, the girls also says, hey, it was the best time, the weekends with their dad. So, well, thanks, I'm also here, you know, but yeah, that was special. And that helped him through. Just to be a year later, we had our armed robbery, and that was in rock bottom again.
Let's just go before we moved on to that, because that is the big story, is your mom-in-law, how is she doing?
She was not good. She was not good. She couldn't even be at the funeral or anything. She was very, very bad. But she's fine now. She's 91, wow. Getting very old at the moment. She's in an old age home. She never ever went back to the house. We as kids moved the whole house for her. We've cleaned everything out, purchased all new beddings and everything. And yeah, she started a new life in a retirement village in Krugersdorp. Yeah. And she's today still there.
So 2008, what day of the week was it? What time of the day? What happened?
It was a Friday evening. Our armed robbery, it was a Friday evening. 26th of June.
You can remember the exact date.
Yeah, it's just funny. If you walk past some of those guys today, there's one face that I will never ever forget. And funny enough, sometimes you see the face similar and you know it's not the same guy. But I mean, then it's like sort of a freezing reaction. And I mean, we're going back many years. But yeah, that was a terrifying night. We came back. I was actually ill with flu in the bed because I was the one that always drives the kids, because it was just like that. I don't know why. I always drove the kids up and down. My husband sort of never did that. And then, but I was sick, so he had to go and fetch the kids at the Clearwater Mall. And I still blame myself today because I heard something outside. I honestly did, and the dogs were barking. And I checked through the window, but I couldn't see anything. But shouldn't I have done more to check and to make sure? So that question will always stay within me. Should I not have done something better to prevent this? So I can't answer myself there. But what I do know is that when they came back about 10 o'clock at night, they just walked in with them. And it was three guys. The first thing they took was our cell phones, and they took out the SIM cards. And then they started hitting and smacking. You know, they turned the rifle down, around, and they hit you with the back.
The butt of the gun.
Yeah, okay. And that hurts.
I'm sure it does. How old were your daughters at this stage?
The youngest was 9, and the oldest just turned 16.
Okay, and so 2 daughters.
Yeah, I have another daughter, but she wasn't there that night.
Okay, so where did they get you? They came in with your husband. They were waiting outside of the property, or
yeah, they were waiting outside, and they literally walked into the garage, because I still opened the garage door for them, because we haven't got electrical gates. We electrical garage doors. We've got a Wilma Matic, she opens it.
Manual.
Yeah, so I went to open the garage doors for them, because as a security thing, we always were very, very cautious. But somehow we didn't see them, and that was like, whoa, all of a sudden there's these guys all over you. And you always think you're going to do this, you're going to do that, but you don't. You literally don't. They speak, you listen. And that's the one thing I've learned that night, because it kept on for quite a few hours, that the more you listen to them, the less they hit or smack or turn the rifle against you or something like that.
As you came in, they separated you and your husband, and your daughters were with you, but your husband got separated, am I correct?
Yeah, he was tied up in the garage, and the one guy stayed with him. And my daughter and I was in, the daughters and I was just taking through the house. They wanted alcohol. I offered them a beer. They didn't want the beer. They wanted something stronger, which we didn't have because my husband doesn't drink. So they wanted money, they wanted alcohol, they wanted a safe, they wanted guns, and we have nothing of that. We really didn't have anything of that. I had one envelope with casual workers pay in for, I think there was 300 or 400 rand in, that they took. But for the rest, I could not help them, and they would not believe me. It took them until about after midnight before they realized, okay, but this family really doesn't have money, and they really doesn't have guns. But it was a challenging few hours to get them to realize that. I literally, what I eventually did after all these smacks and hits, and then so many things happened in between that, at a stage, what I was going to tell you, it's at a stage I heard noises in the garage. So I believed my husband was murdered. I honestly thought he was strangled like my father-in-law was, because I heard that. And we were continuously told that we're going to be raped by all of them. That's what they do, and they continuously put their hands in our pants, in our chests, touching our breasts, touching what they want to. And at the one stage, I just couldn't handle it, them doing it with my daughter. And being a victim of rape when I was in my 20s, I always knew that the guy touching my kids will be murdered by myself. But at that stage, you just feel like you want to do it. I gave the guy a big smack, and then I got a few smacks back. And I must be honest, the other guy that was in the room as well, then I had a rifle against my forehead and one on my back. And you know that sound when they click it over? And then I realized they're going to kill me and they're going to rape my daughter, so I have to let be. And I suppose that's when I asked him to please just take me around, do with me what you want, just leave the daughters. But also in a way that's a bad thing, because then they knew that were your soft spot. So they kept on challenging you with they're going to do this, they're going to do this, they're going to do this. So it was very terrifying. It really, really, really was. And you know what? Praying all the time. I don't say anything other, but I really, truly believe that it was God's hand over us that evening, that we're not killed and that we're not raped. Because I had realized the more hits you got, the sooner I realized that just stay calm and speak slowly, let them understand you, let you understand them, because the English were very broken and they could hardly speak properly English. And they were speaking with people outside all the time, because you can hear the alarm being when people walk past there. So I knew there were people outside. I had no idea how many. And calmly I spoke to them like you speak to a 2 or 3 year old, like, okay, now we do this, now we do that. And eventually, after really a big struggle, we got them to realize. I literally took them and I said to him, look in my eye. And I put my 2 fingers in my eye and I put literally my nose against his nose. And I said to him, do you think I will lie to you in a situation like this, where you've got my daughters, you've got the husband, and you've got me? Is there any possibility that with 2 guns appointed at me that I would tell a lie? And then the guy looked at me, and then I stopped to the next guy, and then I went to the next guy, and did exactly the same with all 3 of them. And, well, not with the one in the garage, though. I didn't get to there because I was convinced husband is dead. And then I just realized, then they said, okay, then they started packing the stuff in the bucky, because they got the thing out, and the guys from
the tracker.
The tracker, yeah. And the tracker people must realize what's going on. So they drove around the house and they saw that something is not good. So I think my story is a bit in my car, but
doesn't matter.
It's as it comes now. Where we lived on the plot in Muldersdrift, there was a little koppie. And so what the tracker guys did is they went out the property and they drove behind the koppie, and there was a little dirt road that they actually use as a fire prevention sort of little dirt road, yeah. And they stopped there, and they actually waited there until they saw the guys going, and then they went for them. But before that, they just started packing everything that I could in my bucky. I had a nice white double cab Ford Bakkie, which I love to bits. And then they packed everything what they wanted in there, and then it was like early morning hours. I cannot give you the time. Early morning hours that they start going out, and then as they went out, the tracker guys followed them, and then the shooting started and all that. But you know what's terrifying? Before they left, they locked us in. They fetched my husband, and I was quite shocked in a good way that he's alive. And then they locked us up, and they gave me another smack. And they
For
said,
no reason.
Yeah, I think because I don't know why. I don't know, I think it may be the calmness. They gave me another smack, and then they said to my daughters and to myself, which was terrifying, they said, look, I'm coming back for you. And you will see me again. And you know, the minute they did this, my daughter started crying, the one daughter started crying, and then they said, I'll also shoot the crying one. So I said, that's okay, you can go now. And sort of, they locked the door, and they left. I heard the shooting, and then I knew there's trouble. And we just stayed in the room. I had a little dressing room, and we all right on the floor there, and we didn't move or anything. And then eventually the tracker guys already called police and everything. So what they did is the next minute, or it took about, I'm going to lie, it felt like forever. But I think if you really look at the time, it took about 20 minutes. Then there was police there, and they knocked on the door, and then they shouted to us, if you're the police, you can relax. And they started speaking Afrikaans. Could barely walk because they tied him up so that he could hardly walk. So I said to him, you stay here with the kids. I'll go and open. And which I opened, well, the house was open. So I just opened the bedroom door, which was locked. And it was the police, and they came and untie him. And then the next minute there was like people all over the house. Police and reaction people, and you name it, they were there. And it was super busy, and I could see my husband and the daughters don't cope. So I asked the police, please, do you have a counselor? And it was some pastor from some church, which I really appreciated, that he came out, I think it was around about 1 o'clock in the morning. And I don't know where I heard or read or something, take a person away from the scene to get them a bit more calm. So,
space. Give them some space from the scene.
Yeah, so what I asked the counselor to, it's like the husband and the daughters, my two daughters, and I put them in the study where the guys actually didn't even go into. And I said to them, close the door. And he sat there with a good 2-3 hours, 2 hours or plus, I don't know, with them. And then I handled the police reports and made coffee for everybody and sort of get the thing going so that at least they, you know, if I know they're safe, I'm happy. I can handle anything if I know my family is good and safe and sound. And that's why I did it, is to just keep them aside and handle everything from there on. And up till today, I handled the police says, I went to the police courts, I did all that thing. My husband, I really tried to protect him for, he had his share with his dad.
He's had enough.
Yeah. And you know what? I think it made a difference for them. We did go to family counseling. My one daughter did not want to go to anything. Today she really struggles still with a lot of other things as well. So yeah, hopefully one day I don't think she will ever open, but eventually I know I've done everything I possibly could, and I took her to everywhere I could. And I think she's almost, she's okay, but I think she could have been better. But she is, she's got a husband she's got a husband that takes absolutely good care of her. So she is wonderful, but the tragedy still hits, I know her sometimes, as I say, when
that trauma just comes back and back and back the whole time.
Yeah, if you see something, or, just after the robbery, if we walked in a shopping mall and you see the fidelity guards with the guns delivering money to the banks, my kids would burst into tears. And then they grab me like this, and I cycle a lot. At that stage, I still did quite a lot of cycling. I was not allowed to cycle because the kids said to me, you're going to get murdered. We couldn't do anything. We slept all in one room, all on the floor with each other, locked the room, for quite a long time. If we had to go out at night, we got the reaction people to walk with us into the house. They had to walk first through the house, and then we walked into the house. It really, really took a long time. And as I say, I think up until today, it sometimes still just you're not scared. You're not terrified anymore, but it's still there, especially with the kids. For me, I think I am blessed with being quite a strong person.
It is. I think you pulled everybody through, because I listened to you, and you kept sane, and you dealt with stuff because you had to. And I take my hat off for you, because that's being very, very strong.
Yeah, but that's my people.
And I understand that. I always say to people, don't touch the stuff that's important to me, because I'm going to defend them with everything I have.
See, I can handle what I have to handle. Being after I've been raped and all that, I've learned a lot. And before that, I had some issues as well. And all said and done, somehow, I don't know, I really am blessed. I think the Lord blessed me with a sense of relaxation. Well, I know He did. And calmness and honesty. I think those guys saw the honesty in my eyes that evening. And then they realized, this woman is not going to lie. And I think that's what triggered them to, I don't know why. I honestly don't know why. But I do know if you stay calm, you don't get smacked. If you speak nicely to them, you don't get smacked. If you don't hit them, you don't get a gun against you. Because, it's terrifying to have a gun against your forehead and one in your back. And you hear them clicking it over. It's a feeling I can't describe to anybody.
That cocking sound, and they do that to put fear into people, actually cocking, if the gunner's got a hammer on, cocking the gun. Because the sound is...
It's terrifying.
It's terrifying.
It is.
It is.
It really is. And it was for the kids. I mean, the gun was against me, but they heard the sound. So for them, it was like, my mom's going to get killed. And for me, it was, my kids are going to get killed. So my husband was killed. So it was like quite hectic. But he's alive, and we're all alive. And it was a very long healing way afterwards.
So tell me, there was some threats before, and people tried to get into your house. So you only had one dog. Some of your dogs were poisoned, am I correct?
Yeah, we had, at that stage, we had 4 dogs. And, well, the 2 dogs were outside because it was a big Great Dane, and the Foxy because, normally, they all sleep at night inside, but, they walk out early in the morning. So what happened, they were out early in the morning, and then I leave them outside. But then I woke up about 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, and then I knew something was wrong. Then they poisoned both the dogs, the Great Dane and the Roxy. And that was about 3 months before the robbery. They had that, and then, as I said, could be 4 months before the robbery. And then another 3-4 weeks before the robbery, they tried to break into the house, and I saw them, and I pressed the alarm button, and then the reaction people came out, and they were gone. And that was about, say, 3-4 weeks before the robbery, and then they did come back. And I think that's why the fear of them coming back stuck with me for a very long time, because they've been there. The dogs are poisoned, they've been there, and then they came in. So for me, they will come back. Make no mistake, they will come back.
So you had one dash, and they wanted to shoot it, so you put it into the bathroom, am I correct?
Yeah, it was my daughter's little angel dachshund. So when they saw shooting, they said they want to shoot him, my daughter said, no, please don't. And then they got angry with my daughter. So I said, no. I got some Beano treats, and I said, please just, if he makes a noise, then shoot him, but let's just lock him up first.
And I will apologize, it's fine. My dog is barking at stuff. So I'm going to just excuse it. People know that my dog is always very busy. We should have just left the door open for him, but in any case, do you want to say, oh, good boy. So your husband was traumatized twice. He's just got over it's been 1.5 years, 2 years after it happened with his father.
Yeah.
So I assume it's been very traumatic for him and for your daughters.
Yeah, it
was a long healing process. He's got to be part of it. It's all right. Just let it go. It's a new time. We can have dogs in the interviews.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's except that he's now bothering poor Wilma.
That's okay.
Okay. Do you want to just let it roll? Roll, take him out to. Can I continue? So the healing process was very long, and you say it with lots of trauma counselling and stuff. So did that help you? Your family?
Yes, it did. It did. I did go as well. But you know what? The budget wasn't that good. So what we did is I always said, they go first. Because my healing comes when the family is healed. And I think a lot of mothers are like that. I think all the mothers are like that. There's nothing different with me with that. So as soon as they get better, I do get better. But up until today, I do seem to... Because also when you started, my daughters wanted to start crying, and they said, if you cry, I'll shoot. And that was the shortest, sweet, you cry, I shoot. That's what they said. So the daughters didn't cry at all until today. I hardly ever shed a tear. I'm not good at crying. I hate crying. And, you know, if I wanted to cry about something, even when my mom passed away not too long ago in January, there was no tear shed from my side. I don't know. Sometimes I want to cry, but I can't. So, yeah, I think that is not a good thing. But I got my girls to say, you have to cry. So I teach them, but I don't do. And I think that's the wrong side for myself, but...
Because it does eat at your soul, I'm sorry. One thing, you look very strong, but being strong, it doesn't mean that you don't have that trauma as well.
Yeah, I suppose I do have it as well, but say maybe I hide it, I have actually no idea. But I know my girls are fine today, my husband is very much fine today. And if I look back and I think, except for the fact that I heard something and I didn't react, that's the one thing I will regret, I think, until the day I die. I should have reacted.
You couldn't know.
I could have done something. Because I hurt the people and I hurt the dogs. And that thing will sit with me, I think, for the rest of my life. But I handle that. I don't judge myself about that all the time anymore. At the stage, I did hate myself because of that. I honestly don't do that anymore. But that's a little question, at the back of your head all the time.
You cannot know. These guys are so clever in the way they do things. You couldn't have prevented it. Their job is to actually go in and rob people. So they're very clever about it. You could have done nothing.
Yeah.
So you can't blame yourself.
You can't. But in a way, even when I was raped at 20, I blamed myself. Because why was I there? Why did I do that? Why? So I still said I shouldn't have done that because it was a very familiar family people. So
I wanted to ask you, was a family member that
it wasn't a family member, it was family friends.
So somebody that you knew.
And the family knew. So I never said a word to anybody because, it's not worth it. And we know his wife was a very sweet little wife. So I would not do that to his wife. I would not. So I just kept it to myself. Today he's passed away and his wife is still alive, but he passed away, so rest in peace. But I just never said a word. And my husband knows. Of course he knows it because I was married at that stage already. But he also knew who it was, and he also kept, for my sake and for the family's sake, the secret. But, I think that made me a bit too hard in a way on myself. And, but that made me survive a lot of things, being hard on myself, and I don't know.
And helped your family to survive. So,
good, yeah.
So, you shouldn't be hard on yourself.
Until today, I'm a bit struggling with that.
I understand.
Yeah, even at work, if I make a little mistake, I'm very like, how could you? But I suppose I will never change when it comes to that. I've got a very bad or weak or, how do you call self-built in English?
Self-image.
Self-image. So if something goes wrong, it's me. If something goes wrong somewhere else, what did I do wrong? But, if I get called or something that says, what did I do wrong? I won't say, hello, how are you? I would say, what did I do wrong? And I was starting to focus on that, and I do not say that. So I think my work My weak spot is just my self-confidence, but my strong part is that I'm a strong person.
And that is such a positive thing, that you need to actually concentrate on the positive side and not on the negative side. Because I don't think your family would have survived without you. So
Oh, that's a compliment.
they would probably, because you stayed calm and you kept it together. And I'm very glad your husband survived, because that must have been terrible thoughts going through your mind at that stage. And afterwards, the adrenaline dump must have been quite something, because the next day you must have not been feeling well.
No, you didn't sleep at all for like 2-3 days. And that sounds, everybody needs the rest. I promise you, you didn't. Day and night. I was up for 2 days and 2 nights that I really, you're dead tired, but you can't sleep.
So the perpetrators, did they get them?
No.
They got away?
Yes, they did. The one guy was shot in my bakkie. There was blood stains all over in the bakkie and shoot holes in the bakkie. So the bakkie was at the police for a very long time. And eventually when we got it back, it went for the panel beaters. And when it got back, my kids said they're not driving in that car. They refused. I said, well, that's what we've got. And then they refused. They said to me, Mama, we cannot do, I'm not driving in this bakkie. So, they're at school. They got to get to school. I got to get to work. So it was like within a week, I got the bakkie back. We sold it and we got another car. And then the kids said, okay, now they can drive with me again. And from the bakkie, we went to a little Honda, which was actually a great car. I loved it to bits. And from a white bakkie to a red car. So we did a total change. Yeah.
Your family today is good?
They're all good. All 3 my daughters are very happily married. The last 2 got married within 5 days apart from each other this year, March. So
must have cost quite a bit of money.
No, they all work, so they paid a big amount on their own. It was just emotionally for me a bit hard, but it was good. When your girls are married with good husbands, you're a blessed mother.
Absolutely. Just want to go back to one point which I didn't think about until very recently when I spoke to somebody, is the money to actually do trauma counseling. It's expensive.
Very much.
And you have to find that money from somewhere.
Yeah.
It's not something that's automatically given to you, or the police do not have somebody that can support that. And that's an additional pressure on the family, because you've now gone through this trauma, now you have to find money to actually do trauma counseling.
Yeah, and it just wasn't. But I did everything. I worked extra hours. I got an extra job on Saturdays to do some extra work so that we can just get them through. So I worked Saturdays for 200 Rand. But you know what? 4 Saturdays, 5 Saturdays gives you 1,000 Rand.
Yeah.
And there you go.
So your message for other ladies, and especially in South Africa, what would you say for during the 16 days of action? I've changed it from activism to action, because we need to do something rather than nothing. What would your message be for other
in a situation like mine, or when they're busy in a situation with a robbery?
I think in general, so maybe both. If they're in a situation like yours, and also afterwards, what would your message be? What would you do differently?
Well, what I would tell the ladies in a situation of an armed robbery, prayer and calmness. And that saved, I think, our butts. Prove to the robbers that you sort of trust them in a bad way, but also in a good way. And I think that saved our lives. So in a robbery situation, pray for calmness, because that's what's saving your butt. And for the other ladies in life in general, don't be so hard on yourself, because life is cruel, life is unfair, life is hard. And I know our families are everything, but I think, and I can't practice what I preach, but take care of yourself. And that's one thing I still have to learn in life. I'm not good at that. Somehow, hopefully, I'll get to learn that, but I urge other people to please take care of yourself.
Thank you so much, Wilma. Much appreciated.
Thank you, Lynette.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Thanks.